Live. Let's see here. Got a couple here. Kind of doing some weird things. Hold on. Let's try this. Let's see. Let's wait for a couple more people to join. Thanks for joining. Trying to get some things working here. See if that worked. All right, I think that worked. Perfect. Let's see. All right, so I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of talk to everybody. Welcome to Guardians Fireside Chat. I'm Instructor Jay, and I want to take this opportunity to talk about. I've been getting a lot of questions about what to do, what's kind of the best home defense gun or concealed carry gun, and it's really up to you. Thanks, Bunda, for joining me. So I get a lot of questions about best concealed carry gun, best gun for personal defense, whatever the case may be, and it's a really personal question, a really personal answer, because the last thing that I want is to provide an answer that gives kind of a preconceived notion, and the last thing that I want is to download my biases or preconceived notions. But I want to kind of just give a rundown of a lot of common guns, so that people have the best kind of options for them. So I'm going to go through the different types of gun types, and then, but again, just full disclosure, most of the guns that I actually use are Glocks, and it's not because I'm a Glock fanboy but they really just work, and it's what if it's what I have at work and it's what I use, and it just works every day. It's not pretty. It's nothing glamorous. I have definitely a lot of glamorous guns, but this one, it just works. So kind of I'll start from another guns and go and work towards the Glock. So your double single guns, like your Beretta 92, the bane of a lot of military officers and military like me, was the Beretta 92. And it's a great gun. Thanks for joining, Rob. So it's a great gun, very well made. It has an aluminum frame with a steel slide, steel barrel, and it is a double single gun. So the way you carry this is you insert a magazine, you rack a round in the chamber, and then you decock and then take it off safe. That's the way the Air Force carries it. The Army carries it with magazine in, chambered round, and then the safety on. So that's just kind of how they do it. It doesn't mean it's wrong. To me, it's wrong because being an Air Force guy, you carry the gun locked and ready to go. So the first pull of the trigger is very heavy and long, and it's around 12 or 15 pounds, depending on triggers. And Ernie Langdon does a great job on these triggers and smoothing them up. So it's about a 12 to 15 pound trigger pull, the first trigger press, and then subsequent, as the gun gets cocked, it's going to be very, very light, and it's going to be very, very short. So there is, again, consistent trigger pull from the time that you come out of the holster, and then as you progressively shoot, the trigger gets lighter with every progressive shot, and then you reload, and it's still that short trigger pull until you decock the gun. So very well made gun. A lot of people carry these without holsters. I'm not a huge fan of that, but with that long, heavy trigger pull, it does. I'll explain that to you. Good question. So a lot of people do, but I don't recommend it. So the reason I got a good question. So the reason why the trigger gets lighter as you shoot, it doesn't get like progressively lighter. You only get two trigger presses. The first trigger pull is, you can see that the hammer is down. So that first trigger pull is a double action trigger pull. So what a double action means is when you press the trigger, it does two things. It cocks the hammer as I'm pressing the trigger. See how long it goes? And then eventually the hammer will drop. So just like that. See how long? It's about 12 to 15 pounds. Okay. I know I'm pulling with my thumb, but I want to show you. Then as that gun goes off and that first round goes down range, the gun will cycle and eject the spent casing and then feed another round because it's a semi-automatic pistol. And then on your next round, the hammer is already cocked. And so what you're going to do is it's going to shoot in single action. So now the hammer is back, and the only thing the trigger does is drop the hammer. So it's a single action now. So with the trigger pull, it just drops the hammer. That's why it's called a double single action. So your first round is going to be that heavy 12 to 15 pound trigger pull, 12 to 15 pound trigger pull, and then every successive round is going to be lighter because it's going to keep cycling until you come up with your safety decocker lever and push this downwards, and it decocks the gun. This is a safety decocker, what we call a slide mounted safety decocker. So that's how it goes. I hope that it answers your question, Bunda. So that's the double action, single action Beretta 92 FS. So moving along, something similar to that would be your SIG, like a SIG 22. This is a P220 or like the P226, something to that effect. So it is a double single. So it does have an exposed hammer, just like here. And the decock lever is right here. So when I push this down, it actually decocks the hammer. So again, longer trigger press with the hammer down. That's going to be your first shot. And then it's going to rack. And then you're going to have the light trigger pull that drops the hammer. 45 caliber. This was actually my very first police duty gun. Love it. Don't carry it much anymore. Single stack. We'll talk about the difference between single stack and double stack. Actually, we'll just talk about it now because I have a single stack gun in my hand. So this is what we call a single stack gun. So this 45 caliber SIG P220 is a single stack firearm. So the best way of explaining a single stack firearm is all of the bullets are in line and go straight down. So they're stacked on one on top of the other. Now, just like this Glock 43, same thing. This is a Glock, and it's a similar size. This is a Glock 43, and this is a Glock 26. So both guns are similar in size, but you can see the difference in magazine wells right there. If I stack them on top of each other, you can see this one has less capacity than this one. Both of them are the same caliber, while this one, the Glock 43, again, if you look at the magazine, you can see the difference in magazines as well. So here's the difference in magazine. This one is a single stack. They stack on top of each other. And this one, they stack on top of each other. This one right here, they stagger them so that it goes like in a crisscross pattern. So that's how it achieves the different mag capacities. So your Glock 26 is 10 plus 1 rounds, and then your 43 is anywhere from 6 to 8 plus 1 rounds, depending on the magazine. So they're both the same size. You can see that they're both very similar sizes, but one has more mag capacity than the other. So that's the difference between like a single stack and a double stack. So that's why this one is a single stack. This one carries 8 plus 1 rounds of 45 caliber ammunition. And then this, again, similar to this one, but it's a lot smaller. So moving on, this is a SIG P229. Actually, this is one of Karen's first duty guns, like her second duty gun. This was a Chicago Police Department. I wouldn't say issue because they don't issue out their guns; they go buy their guns. But this is what Karen carried at the Chicago Police Department. It is a SIG P229 stainless and 9mm. So this is again a double stack magazine of 9mm, carrying I think 13 rounds. You can stuff P226 magazines, which are the bigger magazines, into this gun. So the way this gun is, this is actually a double action only. So this trigger, again, these two guns operate very similar, and they look very similar because they're made by the same company. This one is a double action only trigger. That means every press of the trigger is that long and heavy trigger pull. So this one's around 12 pounds, maybe 11 pounds of trigger pull. So again, it doesn't matter whether the gun cycles or not. it's going to have the same trigger press every time. That long, heavy trigger press. Because Chicago Police Department, just like the New York Police Department, don't trust their cops with guns that have lighter triggers. Just the way it is. That's why New York makes 13-pound triggers in their Glocks because they're scared of their cops shooting them. Which one is better? It's really up to you. Really good question. It's really up to you. There's a certain level of confidence. A lot of people really get hemmed up on the Glock and how they believe inherently unsafe this is, because this is a more of a consistent trigger press, 4.5 pounds, 5.5 pounds. No manual safety. It is literally a point and shoot gun. But again, a lot of people think that this is an inherently safe gun to carry. This is actually my duty gun that I carry on patrol. And then I carry Glocks for concealed carry as well. But it's really up to you. It's really a confidence thing. I actually carry these guns appendix, and people go, well, you're going to shoot your junk off. How about we just don't shoot ourselves? And that really just comes with training, which I've started to realize is really underrated. More and more people are buying guns than ever, which is awesome. I'm a huge Second Amendment advocate, but they're not seeking out training, which is kind of scary. So it really just depends on you. I mean, there's some people that, again, they believe that if you carry a 1911 cocked and locked with the safety on, this is around a 3.5 pound trigger press on this gun. It is a duty rated gun. This one is a duty rated gun. That it's just unsafe. Nothing could be further from the truth. It really just comes back to training and mind over matter. Good question. So we talked about the double action only. This is a double action only trigger that Karen carried at the Chicago Police Department. Really quality gun, but again, that long heavy trigger wall. So then moving on, obviously you have your double action revolvers. So this is a double action revolver here. So the reason it's called a double action revolver is the way it was designed to be carried is with the hammer down, and then when you come out of the holster, it does two things. When you press the trigger, it cocks the hammer, and then it just keeps firing from there. Now, you can cock the hammer on this and make it a single action gun, and it is a very, very light trigger press. That'd be more for like target shooting, which is what this gun was for, but it is a police revolver. This was owned by a police chief in Rhode Island. Again, this is the gun that my dad gave me when I became a police officer. So very well made, but again, 6 shots, limited capacity, but I wouldn't say they always work. There is some inherent maintenance with these guns because you have to make sure the timing on the cylinder is right. Because if this goes out of timing, that means that if the cylinder goes out of line of the barrel, then the round will actually hit the side of the gun, and you'll get frag in your back here and in your face. Thanks, Andre. Yeah, it's a pretty gun. It's definitely one of my prettier guns, but I don't shoot as much. 38 special, but again, it's you just have to think about what application you're going to use the gun for. So very, very durable. Just have some things to think about. So moving on, I would probably say that one of the classic guns is the 1911. So this is not your stereotypical 1911, but it is. It operates the same way. It works the same way. It functions the same way, except it's not in 45 caliber. It is actually a 9mm. So a lot of people believe that if you're carrying a 1911 in 9mm, you are sacrilegious to John Moses Browning, and I couldn't be further from the truth. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of 45 caliber guns, but now I'm not going to get into the elementary argument between 45 and 9. But again, being able to carry a crap load of 9mm firepower in a very reliable platforms and very easy to shoot platform as a 1911 has its advantages. This is one of the fastest shooting guns that I've pretty much shot, short of actually shooting like race guns. But it is a fast shooting, flat shooting gun, quite heavy, and it carries 20 plus 1 rounds of 9mm in it. So if I carry this on duty, which I was looking to do at one time, I may come back to it. But if I carried 3 spare magazines, I would have over 100 no, let's see, 90 plus rounds available to me. So just on my duty belt with 9mm, which is a crap ton of 9mm. But it's a big gun. It's a full size government 1911 with a double stack mag in it. These are extremely easy to shoot. They're one of the easiest guns to shoot. They're one of the hardest guns to maintain and one of the most labor-intensive guns to maintain. The best way of explaining this gun and most 1911s nowadays is they are Ferrari race cars. Ferrari race cars will take you 0 to 60 and faster than any other car. Of course, there's Bugattis and stuff like that, but it is a race car. Race cars will get you from point A to point B very fast. The problem is you have to put high-quality gas in it. You have to put high-quality oil in it. And when stuff breaks, typically it gets a little labor-intensive and expensive. When you were in the Air Force Tactical Response Force, which handguns were you guys issued, and how was it? So that was the Beretta M92, the M9, or the 92FS. Great gun, big to carry, heavy to carry, but worked. Carried not this gun, but a gun similar to this on the Tactical Response Force for 3 years. So the 1911, very well made. They're extremely reliable when you take care of them. But again, more complicated to take apart, more complicated to maintain. But when they do run, they run like the dickens. So you just have to think about pros and cons. So it's a good beginner's gun to shoot. It is not a good beginner's gun to own and maintain because this gun is labor intensive when it comes to cleaning comparative to other combat style guns. But again, nothing runs faster than my STI Marauder. But again, you're looking at well over $2,000 for just this gun. So another thing for the price point as well. So the next gun we're going to talk about again is like your striker fired pistol. So your striker fired pistol is a hammerless gun that uses a striker instead of a firing pin, even though the words and the semantics can get a little creepy. But we're going to talk about striker fired guns. So the first gun that was a striker fired gun was your Glock. Then Smith & Wesson came out with the M&P series, the M&P and the M&P 2.0. SIG came out with the P320, and then HK came out with the VP9. So all of those guns are pretty similar. They operate on the similar principles. They have a multitude of safeties that you don't actually see, and they're completely drop safe. Yes, even a P320 nowadays is drop safe. They fixed that. So they're all, we're just going to treat them all the same. But again, whether I'm talking about a Glock, it could be a Smith & Wesson M&P, it could be a SIG P320 or the VP9. But so let's just talk about Glocks because that's the ones I have. So your Glock family that is in a double stack kind of starts with, they do have a Glock 34, which is more of a competition. It's another inch longer on the barrel. So this is a Glock 17 Gen 5. This is the newest generation of Glocks. Ambidextrous slide stops, and it has a reversible mag release. This is a full-size duty style gun. So this is my duty gun that I carry at work. Very well made, very easy to maintain. It comes apart in 4 pieces. I'm not going to take it apart for you, but all the Glocks that I have take apart the same exact way. So continuity training is really good. Hey Jay, could you explain decockers the job a bit in a bit of detail, i.e. when a live round is in the chamber? Thanks, brother. Great job. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. So I'm going to use the SIG as an example for decocker. So when we go to work or we're ready to carry this gun, you're going to insert a live magazine and then drop the slide, which then that will chamber the round. Okay. Now, how do you deal with the hammer being cocked? Because the last thing you want to do is put this in your holster or on your bedside. A lot of people do the Hollywood this is what I call the John McClane decock because he loved to do it. In Die Hard is you press the trigger and then ride the hammer forward. So watch how far that hammer goes into the slide. Watch how far that hammer goes in the slide. Okay. Now, Okay, and what that's actually doing is it's impinging upon the firing pin. So if you actually took this gun apart and looked into here, into this breech face, the firing pin would be exposed out the breech face, and then the likelihood of your finger slipping and doing that, if my finger slipped and did that, the gun would go off. Okay, the gun would discharge. Okay, so if you have a double action, single action gun and you have a decocker, use the damn decocker. So again, you're going to insert the magazine. You're going to drop the slide home, which will then chamber the round. Okay, then now you have a live round in the chamber. So how do you drop the hammer? What you're going to do is going to drop the hammer with the decock lever, this decock lever here. You're going to push down, and then the hammer is going to go forward. Look how far the hammer went forward. I'm pushing forward on it, so it's not impinging upon the firing pin. Okay. Again, if I do it this way, look how far that hammer is falling forward, and it's impinging upon there. So you can see the difference. So when I decock it, it lands there. When I press the trigger, it lands there now on the firing pin. Same thing goes similar to the Beretta as well. So again, if you have a double single action gun, insert magazine, drop slide home, decock, which safely drops the hammer and resets the trigger to a double action, and then you can holster it or place it there. That's how you properly drop the hammer on that, not do the John McClane decock. I hope that answered your question, Red Billy Rob. So that's how you properly decock that. So back to the Glock. So the Glock is just a versatile gun. It is a 4.5 to 5.5 pound trigger press every trigger. This does have 3 safety mechanisms. I'm not going to go into the details of the safety mechanisms, but it does have 3 safety mechanisms that keep it safe. Again, the only way that this gun is going to go off is if you press the center, what they call the Glock safe action, and press the trigger all the way to the rear. That's the only way this gun will go off. Okay, so you have your Glock 17, which is a full size. This carries a full size 17 round magazine that fits flush right here. Okay, then moving along, the next one, probably the most popular Glock ever sold, is the Glock 19. So again, this is just a smaller grip. So they reduce the muzzle, the barrel length. They reduce the barrel length, and then they reduce the grip length a little bit to make it a more of a concealable gun. This is the exact gun that U.S. Special Operations are carrying now. Marine Corps Special Operations, Navy Spec Warfare went to this gun now. Delta guys are carrying it. It's just more and more. Heck, even Border Patrol and the FBI has gone to this gun. They're getting rid of their SIGs. So very well made gun. This one has a TLR 7 light on it. It's 500 lumen 1CR123 battery light. So again, it's a smaller package. It carries a 15 round magazine. But the great thing about the Glock 17 and the Glock 19 is if I carry a 15 round flush magazine on this one, I can carry still the 17 round magazine spare. And yes, it sticks out the bottom, but if I carry a spare magazine, I'm going to carry one with 2 extra rounds in it as a standard there, and then I can reload it from there. So it does have interchangeable magazines from the Glock 17 to the Glock 19. Very well made gun. Okay, and then my the other gun that I have as well is the subcompact version of the family. So you can see how small it's getting now. If I put it there, that's one of the smallest double stack guns you can buy. So it carries a 10 round magazine. I do put a pinky extension on it to maintain the control on the pinky. But there does not add any ammunition. So it's 10 plus 1 rounds. Now, the cool thing about the Glock 26 as well is the fact that I can carry the gun just like this, and then I can carry a spare 17 round magazine that I can load into the gun. And now my reloaded magazine no longer has that. I just dumped the 10 round magazine. Now I have a 17 round magazine. I have more rounds I started with, and it still extends past to get my pinky in there. So that's what I do like about the Glock 26 versus the 43 is all of these 3 guns can hold larger magazines, all 3 of these. So huge advantage there. So when I'm carrying a Glock 26 with a spare magazine, I have 28 rounds at my disposal. if I'm carrying a Glock 19 with a spare 17 round magazine, I've got, let's see, it's 16 and then like 34 rounds. So 34 rounds, make me do public math, 34 rounds when I carry this. And then I get to like 36 rounds or more with Glock 17. So people ask me, how do I carry the gun? So I'm a huge fan of the Incog holsters, not because I work at Haley Strategic, but because I've seen how they've designed these holsters and it's very well made. This is an appendix in the waistband front. The great part about the Incog holster, I'll just give you 1 second to set these up real quick, is the fact that this is made for a Glock 19, okay, with a spare magazine out front. And again, I always carry a full-size spare magazine. I never carry a subcompact magazine because what is the point? If I'm going to carry something, I'm going to have the max amount of ammunition. Well, Josh, you should only need 5 or 6 rounds until you need more. So carry just like this. So this is the 19 in here, the middle-sized gun. I can then, if the mission changes, I can carry a Glock 17. So I just went up in size to a Glock 17. So I can carry a Glock 17 in this holster, and then I can go all the way down to a Glock 26, depending on my mission, depending on what clothing I'm wearing. I can carry all 3 different types of guns in this holster, obviously not simultaneously. So I can go from a full-size Glock 17 to a subcompact Glock 26, and it fits on the same holster. Again, it's not a cheap holster to buy, and it's very well made. Buy once, cry once. So very well made holster. So then the next kind of gun that Karen really, really likes, that she carries a lot, is the Glock 43. So the Glock 43 is similar to your Smith & Wesson M&P Shield and your SIG P365. Those are all similar guns. So they are slimline subcompact guns that have proprietary magazines, typically a single stack magazine. So they are extremely concealable guns. So you could actually put this in like a cargo pocket, as long as it's in a pocket style holster. I would not recommend carrying this gun chambered in a pocket because again, it's that. So yeah, Jose Border Patrol carries a 47, which is a 17. Yeah, not the 19. So they carry the full size, and I know that the FBI went to the 17 M, and then they're also looking at carrying the 19 as well. And then that's the FBI, and then the Border Patrol went their special model. So the 43 is a great gun, but again, it's very limited capacity. So this one has 6 rounds with a pinky extension. Again, it doesn't add any ammunition. All it does is allows the shooter, especially like the likes of me, even with my small hands, my pinky, if it was a flat magazine in here, my pinky would not be indexing on it. The ping extension gives me that. But again, it's very well made. It's easy to shoot. First time I shot this, I was really surprised on how smooth it was. But again, you're not going to go to a Haley Strategic class and shoot a couple thousand rounds out of this thing. One, it's not designed as much for that, as well as you're going to get beat up. But for a daily concealed carry gun, very well made. But again, you're going to be carrying small magazines comparative to like the Glock 26. But everything has its pros and cons. Exercise and compromise. The last thing to talk about is, again, just get quality holsters. This is a Haugen handgun leather from Bismarck, North Dakota. I've carried the SIG in this for numerous amounts of years, but it's showing its wear through the Arizona summers. They have like the pancake style leather holster from Bianchi that Karen carried. This is actually the holster that Karen carried on the Marine unit when she was on the boats. She wasn't carrying a big duty belt because the last thing you want to do is fall in the water and then next thing you're wearing like 30 pounds of gear. I also carry this style holster, like an Incog holster, and then just depending on what my mission is. When I go camping, usually I wear like a duty style holster just so it's comfortable and I'm not caring about concealment and stuff like that. Usually I carry like a full size duty holster. But again, that's what we're here for. So I hope this answers everybody's questions and what they're looking for. the big thing is go contact an instructor, and we can actually take you to the range. We can go to Scottsdale Gun Club as our range facility. We're looking at going to C2 Tactical here soon, and going to them and working with them as well. Going back to them, developed a better partnership with them. So, but they have a rental counter. The big thing is they have a rental counter over 200 guns where we can take you in as an instructor, and we can actually put guns in front of you and figure out, again, based on you working a good grip on the gun, after we've taught you a good grip on the gun, how a gun feels in your hand, and you can figure it out yourself and not let the salesman or your dad or your boyfriend or your girlfriend tell you this is the gun you should have because the spec warfare, naval spec warfare, I've had that so many times. This is the gun that Delta Force carries. Well, who gives a crap? You're not Delta Force. I'm not Delta Force. Let's just get it over with. But again, you have to figure out what works for you. And spending an hour with the instructor and learning that, you're gonna save a whole lot of money and a whole lot of heartache instead of having a gun that you don't like. So spend the time, spend the money, and get a quality instruction. Final words. We do have online course offerings. They are below in my description for my Facebook peeps. We are doing a virtual concealed carry class. So it's a two-part concealed carry class. So the first part is the knowledge transfer, where you sign up and it's computer-based training where you do videos and the PowerPoints and learn that way. And then after you do that, then we actually sign you up with a live video conferencing just like this, one-on-one with either Karen or I, and we actually go through the lesson and do a Q&A that, again, satisfies the live component. We're doing it live. So you get the knowledge transfer, then that. So sign up below. It's our link below. And then we email you the certificate. Again, you do not need to be a resident of Arizona to get an Arizona concealed carry permit. You can live in Maine, California. We're getting huge amounts of California people that are contacting us. And at first I was like, you don't have any reciprocity. But also, if you have a California permit, you have no reciprocity with other states. So if you get an Arizona permit, non-Arizona resident permit, you get up to 36 states that you can carry in. So if you leave California and come to a state that you can carry in that you have the Arizona permit, you can get that. So we email you the certificate after you've completed the knowledge transfer and have done the live meeting with the instructor, going over the lesson plan and doing the Q&A and making sure that you understand everything. Then we email you the certificate, and then we mail out the application, everything like that. We never have to actually you have to physically sit in a class. We actually come to you in the comfort of your own home. So sign up for that below or contact us for more information. And then the other part is we have a Guardian online bleeding control class. So everything is online, videos, tons of information on how to use one of these, a bleeding control kit. So how to use a tourniquet, how to use the hemostatic agent in these bleeding control kits, how to find bleeding, how to save a life with one of these kits, whether you have them or whether somebody else has them. So again, we also sell these kits as well from TacMed Solutions. They ship directly to your house. We'll save you a couple bucks. We are distributors for TacMed Solutions, and we're one of only 2 training organizations in the state of Arizona and the only one in Phoenix that are an associate trainer program for TacMed Solutions. So all that information is below. So you can sign up for the bleeding control class. Once you complete it, we will email you a certificate that you've completed the class and you're good to go. You're covered under the Good Samaritan Act, because if you use this and you're not trained in it, you could possibly get sued, and you're not going to be possibly covered under the Good Samaritan Act because you're not operating in the scope of your practice because you have no training on this. But again, that's what we're here for. If there's anything else, we've done Zoom. We also do Zoom classes where we do these video conferencing classes. We just learn. I just bought this gun. I don't know how to take it apart. I don't know how to clean it. I don't know how to maintain it. We do private one-on-one sessions, or the talk with the family, the family firearm safety. We can actually do a family meeting where we discuss with the family how to safely store and everything like that, your firearms. That's a big question as well as we get. I just bought this gun. I don't feel it's safe in my home. How do I have the discussion with my kids? Well, hire us, and then we'll have that. So those are my parting words. Thanks for joining me for this fireside chat. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please contact us at Facebook, Instagram, email. Check out our website, www.gtctrain.org, and be safe. Have a great one, folks.